Yep everyone, I've not had much chance this month to really work on videos, so I just thought I'd do another draw and chat video. And I've had trouble even doing one of these because a lot of the stuff that I'm doing at minute is gifts, like, and some of them like Far Away as Christmas, so I'm not going to be able to show them anyway for quite a while. But this one's for a friend of mine and it's for her husband whose birthday is not too far away, I don't think. And also I don't think he'll be going on YouTube and seeing it anyway, so I thought I'd just do one with this. And it's two dogs. It's going to be a charcoal drawing. And this is Millie, who is or was a German Shepherd cross, and then Roy, who was a Border Collie. They both passed away now. I have painted both these dogs in past. I'll just show you on side somewhere the paintings that I did of these two as well. So their owners decided to have this drawing done, and this is working from some photos I took on a shoot that I did some years ago when they were still younger dogs. So anyway, I'm just using this bit of scrappy glassine paper because I'm going to be doing Millie first and then I'll do Roy after. But yeah, I'll probably not get as far as Roy. I'm probably only going to get so far through Millie during this video, otherwise it'll just be way too long. So anyway, I'll get started and I'll do my usual thing of starting with white first and put in any whites and light tones in where they're relevant. So anyway, I hope you've had a nice weekend. I don't know about other parts of the world, but it's been a bank holiday weekend here in UK, so it was bank holiday Monday this week. Weather weren't too bad for a change. On Saturday I had an agility show with my younger dog Wisp. I didn't get any real results that day, but on the Monday we had an agility demo at a horticultural show on behalf of our agility club. I nearly couldn't go because my car decided to get a flat tyre, which obviously I couldn't get fixed until Tuesday because of bank holiday. And fortunately the owner of these two dogs, a friend of mine, that actually didn't give me a lift because I live on a route there, so it just meant doing a little bit of a detour, and she was able to pick me up and take me as well because she's got plenty of space in her vehicle. And it all turned out fine, and the day went quite well. You know, the actual demo itself, we were in main ring doing his agility. Wisp did a few tricks and what have you to entertain people whilst the others were setting up the jumps and what have you for us, and the weaves. We didn't have too much equipment because obviously we needed stuff that were quick to set up in ring. But she just did a few tricks what she knows, like stacking rings and rolling into a blanket and that kind of thing. People really liked the blanket one. I could hear everyone laughing every time she did that one. So yeah, that looked quite fun. And then there were a little fun dog show to one side, and she went into prettiest, I'll say female dog because I don't know whether I can say the proper term on YouTube without getting into trouble. And she didn't get out in that, even though she is the prettiest, because, well, I'll just show you a photo and you can make your own mind up. And then she entered into a most talented class, so she got to do some of her tricks, and she won that by a mile. Oh well, she was first dog to perform in class, and when she'd done her stuff, the judge like turned to everybody else and she says, "No pressure." So yeah, that was quite fun, just a bit of fun outside. But it was a long day, and but we had fun. I'm glad that I were able to go, you know, even though my car tried to scupper me yet again. But yeah, that were my bank holiday weekend. I didn't do too much on Sunday, sort of relaxed, because and that's when I discovered that my car had got a flatty as well, so I were a bit miffed. So other than taking Wisp for a walk, I didn't really do anything or go anywhere on Sunday. So, but yeah, I don't know, obviously a nice day out on Saturday at agility show, and then had that show with club on Monday, sorry. So it weren't too bad for me. Something a bit different. So yeah, but I hope that you've had a nice weekend. I mean, we've finally been having some reasonable weather. You know, we had it raining all the time, because this summer in UK, if you live somewhere else, this summer in UK has been a really wet summer. I think it's been same, you know, over like quite a bit of Northern Europe. I watch a few Swedish channels like homesteading channels and stuff, and they have said that, you know, that they've had a lot of rain there as well this summer. So I thought, yeah, because a lot of what we get like sort of moves on to them then, so they often get similar weather to us. So yeah, it's not been very nice weather-wise for much of this summer, but it has seemed to have settled down and dried up a little bit. I mean, I don't mind temperature-wise. I don't like it too hot. I hate it when it gets really hot. I mean, last summer just, oh god, it were awful last summer. It was just way too hot. I didn't like it at all. So my phone's dinging at me, so I'm just going to turn silent mode on. But otherwise, things have not been bad. Noticed me YouTube channel's been a little bit on quieter side, and like I say, I need to get some uploaded. Need to get some up there for you to watch. It's been a while since I uploaded a video. I started making another painting time lapse, but I thought I'd just get this up in meantime, and then you can I like to just put these on, like I say, when I've done them before. I just like to put them on just to listen to. I just listen to what the artist's rambling on about whilst they're drawing. I don't tend to actually watch them drawing most of the time. I tend to put them on whilst I'm drawing and just listen to them rambling on, because they're quite long, see, you don't have to worry about keep changing your videos. So I do tend to find these quite useful for me, you know, entertaining factor whilst I'm working. But my last one did slightly better, I think. But the one bit that I did before, it didn't get many views at all. It were a bit of a flop. I'm not expecting this one to do great, because they don't do as good as the tutorials and the time lapses. But I started getting a bit of positive feedback from doing these, with people just like to watch a bit of drawing in real time sometimes, and also listen to what I'm blathering on about. Sometimes I think it's not very interesting, but I guess most of us on our day-to-day lives are not living like jet-set lifestyles, and it can be a bit mundane for everybody, I think. Well, most people. And even when you think people are living really exciting lives on social media, they're not necessarily, you know, they're showing you just like little highlights and that's all you see. But most of the life is probably not going to be like that. It's just mundane things like having to go to work and having to do house chores and, you know, other just mundane stuff. So yeah, sometimes people are quite happy to just listen to you talking about your mundane stuff because they can relate. So yeah, I'm just keep adding these everywhere where the dog's got some light tones going on. I'm just adding some mapping in some white charcoal. You don't have to be really careful, as long as you're getting it in where it's supposed to be. You'll notice that I'm sort of following the direction that the air grows in when I'm doing my strokes. And I tend to do that as well when I get blending stump and I'm blending. I tend to do that as well. I tend to blend in direction that the hair's growing in, rather than blending like across, like a right angle to it, which won't work out so well. So anyway, these dogs are going to have a bit of background as well. You'll probably see from reference photos when I showed you, they're sitting like on a path, and there were other dogs in photos, but it were just these two she wanted, so I didn't have a photo of them together, just on their own, which we liked for drawing. So I said about combining two different photos and having Roy from one photo and then Millie from another, because they were sitting at the same spot anyway, and then just making something really like that and using a bit of artistic license. So that's what we're doing, but I'll stick with a general sort of background because it is quite nice, you know, with some heather. There's some heather coming, just overlapping Millie's back leg and what have you here, and a stony path in between, and then Roy's sitting at this side and he's got some heather behind him as well. So that'll be quite interesting. It's always nice to do something that's other than just your really common bust portraits that you most often doing. It's nice to do something a bit different, add a little bit of background and environment. It sort of tells a bit of a story in a way that bust portraits don't. Anyway, I'm going to come in with black one now. And by the way, I'll list all my supplies in description, so if you're wanting to know anything that I'm using, just check them out down there. And if you order anything from there, I think it's only going to be at work if you're in UK, but if you order out from there, then it will also help to support my channel as well. So she's got quite dark ears, so I'm just going to put in some black charcoal there. And then I'll try and, once this is up, I'll try and get that other one done quite soon, so I'm not too long before uploading another one. I need to think of another tutorial to do as well. The next time lapse will be the dog that were featured in the most recent white fur tutorial that I did. It's Border Collie, a Blue Merle, and I did a tutorial on just the white fur on his, from to his neck and chest area. And obviously I'm going to now show the rest of it when I've done that video. It was quite a big one. There's a main portrait of him in it, and then a smaller study of him underneath doing his heel work, because he's an obedience dog. He competes in obedience and he's quite successful in it. He's won several tickets, I think. So I don't compete in obedience, so I'm not really all up on how it all works. But yeah, he's won several challenge certificates. Does really well. His handler's been in it for a long time. I've just heard Wisp bark at something. Probably nothing. She likes to just make everyone jump like that for no reason. Oops, I'm starting to get a bit of charcoal on my finger now and smudging it. I best bring this paper across a bit more. So yeah, we've started getting a little bit cooler at night now as well. I mean, it's at that time of year where it can still warm up again. It's quite warm and pleasant in daytime, but night times have been quite cool. To be honest, I like it like that, sleep better. But saying that, I've not been sleeping very well lately, and I've got a twitch just under my left eye, and it's driving me nuts. It just keeps twitching all the time, like just under my eye. And it's usually because, you know, lack of sleep and tiredness that causes that. And also, when I don't sleep enough at night, it means that when I'm wanting to get some work done in the day, I'm often wanting to, especially when I've been out for a walk with Wisp, I get back from a walk and then it's like, my brain's like, right, let's have some sleep now, you've been for a walk. And I think, I've got work to do. It's annoying. And then when you've got time to sleep in bed at night and you're just waking up and can't get back to sleep, or waking up too early and not being able to get back to sleep, or not being able to get to sleep in the first place. So yeah, I'm now dealing with a really annoying twitch under my eye. I've not got many shows left now before I pack them in for winter. I tend not to do shows in winter. I can't be bothered to do them in winter. I considered doing maybe one or two last winter, and then Wisp had an injury and it took her about a month and a half to recover from that. So that put a spanner in works. But this winter, I just don't think I'm going to bother. I think I'm just going to have a rest, and because her A-frames, one of the obstacles in agility, they've been a bit flaky anyway, so I think I'm just going to take her out of competition for a bit where she can't keep making mistakes and keep working on her A-frames over winter. And hopefully she might be a bit more consistent next year, because sometimes she gets them and sometimes she doesn't. But quite often she's very close, and judges often sort of like let her off, you know, even if it's just like tips of her nails that's touching that contact. But we're not always lucky. She did an absolutely stonking run on Saturday, and she was very sort of like borderline, and I think even the judge weren't sure because he raised his hand really slowly and like unsure. I could tell he weren't, and I thought, ugh, because she would have won that class otherwise. She got fastest time and she ran it really, really nice. So you were just a real dratter about that A-frame. Oh well, never mind, such is life. She can't progress at minute because she won into grade 5 at beginning of August. And when they win into next grade, they have to have a 25-day grace period where they continue running at the current grade before they move up into next grade. So she can't, any wins that she gets in this time, she can't progress on them anyway to next grade, to grade 6. So it's just a time to just have a bit of fun and maybe just try and train a little bit in the ring if you can. You know, take risks that you wouldn't normally take maybe, you know, because it don't matter so much if you don't get that clear. But she still managed a couple of clears and a couple of wins since then. But her next show she will actually now be competing at grade 5 because the 25 days will be up. So, I mean, she has been quite a challenging dog. She's absolutely fab to run when she decides that she's going to listen and do what you tell her and not be silly. But it's getting her like that. But it's really enjoyable to run her when you do manage to get her like that. She's more likely to be like that these days. I'm more likely to get a good run out of her these days than what I used to do. I mean, she'll be 8 at end of year, so it's taken her long enough to start getting a bit more sensible. She's always been a bit crackers. You don't call them mad males for no reason. When I've mentioned it to a lot of people and said, well, that's what you get for getting a male. I can't help it, I just like them. I like the colours and the patterns and what have you, so I'll probably get another male. But I can't get another dog until me 2 oldies have passed away, so they're like 15 years old now. So Millie's starting to come along. Just continue putting these dark tones in where they're needed. I'm probably going to have to turn the volume up on this a lot so that you can actually hear me speaking. When I put it into my video editor, I just use a free version of DaVinci Resolve to do my editing. I find it quite good actually, even the free version. So, and I've only like barely scratched the surface of what you can do. You know, there's so much that you can do in it that I've not even tried. Something to think about, you know, one day doing a bit more. I think the videos I do with my artwork and that don't really require too much fancy editing. But I could do with something like a bit more fancy, say, you know, so certain, if I were to do certain kinds of tutorials. So this is where the heather comes up. Just gonna add a bit more white there. Some darker tones under here. So anyway, this cool rainy summer is it's affected my cacti as well. I've not had as many flowers, you know, in later parts of summer. I mean, during May and early part of June we had some quite decent weather, and I had quite a few flowers during that time. But when things took a turn for worse, a lot of the buds that I had that would have come up like since then, the vast majority of them just aborted. They just like fell off, you know, shriveled up and fell off. And now the weather's picked up a little bit again, I've started having a couple of plants producing a late bud or two. I keep saying I'm going to show you all the cacti that I grow. But obviously it won't be like a full video roll, because I don't think that overall people that come to this channel are going to be interested in cacti. So obviously I want to try and stick to doing mostly what people have come to the channel for, otherwise it can cause problems. When you join a channel or you subscribe to a channel to watch particular content and they start doing something that's completely unrelated and is just not really any interest to you, what are you going to do? You're just going to unsubscribe, aren't you? So you've got to be careful. I mean, sometimes there's a lot of channels I watch where it's all sort of related, but there's only certain parts of it that I'm interested in watching. So I stick around and I just watch the videos that are relevant to me, and then just don't watch the videos that are not relevant to me. But usually it's related in some kind of way, so they'll probably still have enough people interested in that video for them to upload it. But yeah, cacti has got absolutely nothing to do with this whatsoever. So that's why I've not really included out about them on it, because it is mainly for my art. So I'll put some more dark tones at the bottom of this snout. Doing these tiny little features with charcoal can be quite challenging, because it being such a soft medium, and it's more difficult to get the really sort of fine lines that you can get with graphite. It's more difficult to get the little tiny details correct. That's one of the reasons why I use charcoal, is because it gives me a chance to loosen up a little bit. It's nice to not be doing painstaking detail all the time. I think that's should be alright for the first layer. I'm just going to concentrate on Millie herself at the minute and sort the background elements out afterwards when she's done. When I'm doing paintings, it's complete opposite way around. I sort all the background out first, and then I do the subject. Although saying that, this heather that's coming at front of here, I would probably not finish that in a painting either before doing subject, because it's in front, comes in front at subject. So I might just block in some base colour, but then I'd leave it like that until I've finished the actual subject, and then do detail afterwards, and then I can overlap the subject with, you know, parts of plant that are sticking in front of it and what have you. But when it's charcoal, I just leave it all until after. It's fine. So I'm just gonna, because it's such small features I'm going to use one of my little tiny blending stumps. I need to order some more actually. I definitely get my money's worth out of them. I do everything that you shouldn't, you know, like filing them down, you know, getting a Stanley knife and shaving some off them, and because I think, well, especially when you're using charcoal, it don't take long before they've lost that point, and they're also not blending as well anymore because they've got too much charcoal on them. So yeah, I do tend to do all that stuff what they say that you shouldn't, just to get a bit more use out of them. But I am definitely getting ready for some more. So anyway, let me know in comments what you like to do when you're watching a video like this. Are you watching it whilst you're doing your own drawing or painting or whatever, or are you just listening to it and not actually watching it? And just let me know, because I do put a lot of videos on YouTube, videos that I don't actually watch. I put them on purely for listening to. I listen to a lot of like crime dives and things like that. And a lot of them are like whether they're putting the makeup on and that whilst they're telling you this about this crime. And I just don't watch any of that. I just put it on just to listen to, because they tend to be quite long, like I say. And I won't have to keep changing, looking for new videos and changing videos when I'm... So I like something that's quite long and I can just stick it on and then get stuck into my work and not have to worry about changing videos. So just let me know what you're doing when you're watching this. Sort of helps me a little bit on how to make future ones if I know what people wants to get out of them. But things have been a little bit quieter on YouTube of late. I think since the weather's picked up a bit, people want to go outside and enjoy it rather than sitting in watching YouTube. I mean, they were a lot better than last year in July, but that's because it won't stop raining. So people were just stuck inside because it was raining all the time, but now the weather's picked up and it's school holidays and everything. They've all like gone out and, you know, to enjoy themselves, and who can blame them? So they're not going to be watching YouTube. So obviously with the autumn coming fairly soon and kids are going back to school as well next week. Talking to a friend of mine yesterday and she was saying hers are back next week. Well, that's gone quick. So I remember when I was a kid, I used to dread it at this time of year. I used to think, oh, I don't want to go back to school. I'd been enjoying all my freedom for 6-week holidays, and this was the time when I'm like, oh God, I've got to go back to school next week. Whereas now, as an adult, I'm like, yes, kids are back at school, yay! See ya! I think make most of it, because most of us don't get holidays like that anymore. Once you leave school and education and what have you, that's it. You don't get a 6-week holidays every summer. Only unless you're like a teacher or something like that. But then I see how difficult it is, because I know quite a few people that are teachers. And I see how difficult it is for them, or hear how difficult it is for them to go back to work after 6-week holidays. It's really hard when they've been off for 6 weeks and they have to go back. It's really hard for them to get back into it. Wisp's barking again. So anyway, she's looking quite good for a first layer, really. I think some of them look awful on the first layer, and you've got to wait until you like build your layers up before they start looking better. But others look pretty good, even just on the first layer. So, and Millie's one of them that looks good, pretty good on even on a first layer. Doesn't look bad. Quite loose, but quite effective. Obviously, she's currently a lot darker in this drawing than what she actually was. So I'll be coming in with whites, you know, at last off at details, which will lighten her up a lot. Or rubbing a little bit of this out so that the tone paper can show up a little bit more underneath once you've blended it with stump. It's quite easy to erase bits where you want to, so that you've got a bit more paper showing through, and let paper do some work for you. A bit later I'm going to go out and I've got to take the oldies for their little walk. Wisp's been for a walk, but I've got to take my oldies for their little walk as well. And I also want to give me cacti water. So This is where that heather's going to be, so I don't really need to worry too much about that area for the time being. And then this is the inside of a furthest back leg, the stifle area. Sort of got some greyish hair going on under there, but because there's not as much light getting to that area, it just looks like greys, dark greys. And then this is another foot on her back feet that you can see. And I want to see if I can try and upload this tomorrow, and then I've done 2 uploads in a month because it's 30th today of August. If I can get it uploaded tomorrow, I can see if I can finish this drawing so that I can show you the finished drawing line with actual video. But if not, if I don't manage to finish it and include it in video at the end, I'll just, because it's a bigger drawing with 2 dogs and a background and everything. I will post it at some point on my Facebook page and that, so you can go and have a look there. I might just hold off a bit longer posting it there. I'll check with my friend when her husband's birthday is. But I don't think he's really like a social media person or like that, so I don't think he's going to be seeing it. There's some other drawings I've done recently I would have liked to have done something like this on, but I couldn't risk using them, and they might be like quite far away before being gifted, you know, like Christmas or whatever. So it'd be ages before I could upload it. And I find that if I wait too long to upload these, everything that I'm talking about, it's just not relevant anymore. You know, things that I've been talking about in video, they're just not relevant anymore. A bit outdated, so to speak. So I think if I'm going to do one of these, I need to upload it very soon after recording it, so that half of what I've said is still valid as opposed to old news. Well, we've already been going nearly 40 minutes. Don't know how much longer I'm going to go. I'm going to come in with another fact. What I'll do is I'll just go over some of them. There's not that many whites to go over, but I'll just go over them a little bit with this blending stump. just soften them down a little bit, and then I'm going to come back in with the black using a 4B. Found this one's not been as scratchy as 2Bs, so but it's not been too soft to do this stuff either, so I've been using a 4B. And then any places where it's like extra dark or blacks or whatever, I'm just going to bring some more into them areas. Most of dark on Millie is on her head, ears and right muzzle. Muzzle looks too small at the minute, so obviously that'll need sorting when I come back in with whites. The actual nose itself needs to be a little bit more substantial. Like I say, when I come in with whites I can add some details that'll make it look as it should do. She's wearing a collar here, so that's quite dark. Yeah, the reference photo that I used for the painting of Millie, I've taken the same shoot where I took these. Yeah, they were the place where we walked to me. It's like a familiar haunt for them because it's quite local to where they live, and it's quite a varied sort of environment going on. There's just places where it's quite hilly and it's got heather growing and stuff like that, because it's, to be honest, it's very close to moorlands and what they call Pennines in UK and Altmorelands and what have you, so it's quite hilly as well. And then there's areas where it's just like flat grassy fields, so I got quite a varied bunch of photos that day. I think we're early December time. You can still see it reference photos when all the coloured leaves on trees behind them. I don't recall it being a cold winter that winter. I actually took this in 2013. December 2013 I took these reference photos. And I know spring 2013 were really cold and snowy. We had I think it was right at end of March, and we had about a foot of snow dumped on us, which is, for that time of year, is quite a lot in UK. In fact, even in the middle of winter it's quite a lot in UK these days. We don't normally get a snowfall as heavy as that now. But yeah, it just kept coming. I couldn't believe it. We're right at end of March, just before we like moved into April, and we just ended up with a foot of snow. And that April were quite cold as well. Snow melted, but the April were just really cold. Took everything ages to wake up. You know, all plants and everything, you know, leaves on trees and everything were just, it still looked like winter in April, and normally things are like getting well on the way in April in UK. And then beginning of May, I think it picked up, got warm all of a sudden, and then everything within a few days literally just sprang to life. Like just within a few days, it just all happened like suddenly. It went from looking like winter to looking like early summer, like within a week, I think. So yeah, that were quite interesting. So yeah, this looks nothing like my lint face. Definitely need to get some whites in and start actually making it look like her. And then it'll start looking a bit more like her. I'll just come back in with blending stump for these new dark areas that I've created. Just blend them in. You don't have to go heavy handed on them. You can leave a bit of texture and stuff. Just get rid of any like untidy edges and what else that you don't like. And my eyes started twitching again. It did stop for a while, but now it started twitching again. It's annoying me. Do this a little bit more down here. So then we're going to come back in with this white one now. And that needs sorting. Do that here. I think I need to sharpen it a bit more because the details I need to do with it are quite small. So it is a little bit easier to sharpen this one than it is the black ones. Make a smaller point with it. And be able to hear Wisp barking again because somebody's come. This is unfortunate, like doing this kind of thing in daytime. There's always something that's going to set Wisp off at some point at video. There's always somebody going to turn up or whatever.
said he put him on supply of Viagra. You won't confuse.
Just listening to what Alan was saying to Postman. I don't think I'm going to continue much longer anyway. I wanted to get as far as you see me start adding some details with whites, but it's going to take too long to basically finish Millie off for sure, so the video would just be way too long. So I might just get a bit done on her head. And then end it at that. Let's sort that nose out because it's driving me nuts. Got a few grey hairs here on her that started appearing on her muzzle. Now we've got a neighbour's dog that's yapping. You might be able to hear that in footage. That's not one of our dogs if you can hear it. There's a lot of yappy dogs around here. And a lot of them got owners who they don't really sort of try and keep them quiet, they just let them yap. My eye's looking a bit possessed, so it needs sorting. So when you've got such a tiny feature and you're trying to make it look right with a big rounded nib, it's not so easy. Some charcoal smudged again. And let's do a little bit of blending. Starting to look a little bit better now. Don't need to fully blend anything at this stage. It's just taking any hard edges off and getting rid of any like texture you don't want, smoothing things down, just creating a bit of gradient between different tones. Like I say, you don't want to go overboard. My eye's really twitching now. I need to try and get a good long night's sleep. Come back in again with whites. Anyway, if you've put this video on to listen to it, and I'm not doing a very good job here, am I? Because I'm not saying out. Sometimes when you're drawing, it's like you just can't think of things to ramble on about, so you go a bit quiet for a bit. Try to do a bit of a tongue now. But yeah, I don't live the most exciting life, so I've not got loads and loads of things to ramble on about. And as for putting world to rights, well, you've got to be careful what you talk about on YouTube, otherwise you've got to start proving that you've mentioned, you know, subjects that are sensitive or controversial, and I don't really want any of that on this channel. So I try to keep the stuff that I talk about to be pretty benign stuff, and not talk about, oh, that's controversial. It's my little escape from all that stuff, because, well, there's plenty for us all to get wound up about, isn't there? I think you need your time when you don't get wound up about stuff. Have a break from it. And doing videos for YouTube is one of my opportunities to have a break from all of that stuff, because I can't really talk about it anyway on here. It's starting to look a little bit more like an eye. I'll sorted her eyes and things like that. Yeah, let me check how long this has been going for. Ooh. Oh, just over an hour now, so yeah, I think I'm going to have to come to an end now for this one. They're getting longer every time I do them. I get a bit carried away. You don't realise how much time's passed whilst you're there drawing away. But yeah, it's been taking just over an hour basically to get as far as this. I know some people won't get anywhere near as much done in that time, but I find charcoal to be quite a fast medium, so but yeah, I'll just, if I don't stop myself now, I'm gonna just keep going, aren't I? So I'm gonna have to stop myself. Just need to forcefully drag my hand away from this drawing, which I'm doing now, and then I'm gonna get a rest for now. I'll go and water my cats, I think, in a bit. I think it's a bit too sunny on them at the minute. I'm getting a bit hungry, so I might go and get something to eat. But anyway, I will be getting another time-lapse video up, and hopefully coming up with another tutorial one to do as well in the near future. So keep an eye out for them. And if you're still here, then, well, you need a prize. I just ain't got one to give you. But thank you very much for watching until this time anyway, if you're still here. It's all great for me if people watch my videos all the way through. I think most people don't bother, but for them that do, thank you very much. And I'll leave it at that for now, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!